Hey guys, Jake Cantrip here, and today we're going to be going over the stat spread for Absolver and how to wisely spend your stat points and optimize your character builds. So what we're going to do is we're going to look over some information on how each class works, what the stat caps are, and then we're going to get back into the game so you guys can see live how the stats are affected by your stat points. Okay, so I have a couple of things here. This is a post on the Reddit Absolver page, r/Absolver by Tempest Moon, and Tempest goes into a lot of detail on what the stat caps are, what each individual combat style or class starts with as far as their stats, and what you're looking for as far as what's the most efficient way to spend your points. And then what I did is I went from 0 to 60 without spending any of my stat points, so I could record what the increases are for each stat point for each stat value. For example, how much you would get in an increase at 1 point in strength as opposed to 10 points in strength. And what we can see here is what we already know is that there is a diminishing return on your stat points. So what that means is if you thought you were just going to dump all of your points into strength to get that max damage, it's really just, it's not very efficient, because if you do that, you end up with 104 damage at AC strength scaling. And I did do all of this with my character no armor, Forsaken Mask, and straight C scaling, just so we can see the effects without too many other variables. Now let's go back into Tempest Moon's article here, and what we see is each class starts with 24 points, and these are spread, and that's what makes each class feel different, as well as their class ability, the way they move. Cult obviously is tankier, so they start with a higher health because of their high vitality, low dexterity, no surprise there, a higher strength. Windfall, lower strength, their will is pretty high, their dexterity is high, their vitality is a little bit lower, and Forsaken is pretty even across the map. We got 6, we got 5, we got 5, we got 3 in will, so we can see with Forsaken, because they're so evenly balanced, they actually have the highest base damage as well, as far as all of the beginning classes, and even with Stagger as well. Even though each class starts with different stats, all classes share the same caps. And what I mean by caps, let's say for example your strength. Once you start to get to a 0.1 damage increase, that's a bad investment on your stat point, so we're going to cap at that point. Or for example, Tempest says that our general vitality cap is a value of 1260. So if we go in and we see that 1260, we jump from 1252 to 1262, so we would get a 10 HP increase there. But then after that, we only get a 3 HP increase, and then after that, it's only 1 or even 0 HP. So 1260 seems like a pretty reasonable cap. Now, all 4 classes share that same cap. Now, what does that mean for you if you're Windfall or if you're Cult, for example? What that means is if you're Cult, you already have 7 points in your vitality. So you're going to have to spend less points to reach that cap of 1262 than a Windfall character that only has 4 in vitality. They're going to have to work a lot harder to get their HP up there than you would. So that's going to free up a couple of points for you to spend in other places. For example, your dex is going to be super low, so you're going to get a lot less mileage out of your dexterity points than, let's say, your strength points, because of your initial stats being so low. So just to really quickly go over the stat point efficiencies, your strength and dexterity, we're going to go over. It's going to matter a lot more what your combat deck has for it as far as scaling. So if you're high in strength, obviously you're going to want to put some more points in strength. If you're high in dexterity, you're going to want to go more in that direction, but you do still need a balance. Vitality is a value of 1260 or 1262 as we saw. The endurance soft cap is 254. So if we look at that, 254, we go from a 3-point increase to a 2-point increase to a 1-point increase, and then after that, pretty much nothing. So stopping at 254 or even 252 would make a lot of sense. I would probably stop at 252, and then your shard refill rate stops at ×2. So that's for all classes. That's going to be the hard cap. You get nothing after that. So it really depends on you and how much you want to invest, because everybody shares that same hard cap. You're gonna have to set your own personal soft cap, and for me, shard refill rate, your will points, it's really the last on the priority list. So let's go ahead and jump back into the game and let's see how our stats affect our character. Okay, so I have my character here with no gear on to affect my damage, as well as my Forsaken Mask and C-scaling across the board. So as we said before, if we put all 60 of our points into strength, we're only going to get a maximum attack damage of about 104, I believe. Yeah, so 104 exactly. And obviously I don't want to spend all of my points in strength. So I want more of a balance here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put points until we start to get to a 0.1 increase. So I believe that's about 18. Yeah, so 18, we get to a 0.1 increase. I believe the same thing for dexterity. Yeah, 0.8 to 0.9. And as you can see, I got to 103.9. So just about that 104 damage without spending all of my points into my strength or dexterity. Now, what I'm going to show you is your scaling is going to matter way more as far as your damage goes. So I have a couple of different decks here. This one is an A scaling in strength and a D scale in vitality. So let me go switch to that real quick and put the same points in of 18 and 18. So as you guys can see, the difference in damage is 15 points. So that's pretty significant. And if I know I'm going to be more of a strength-based character, then I'm going to take a couple of those points out of dexterity. And I'm going to throw them into my strength, because they're going to go a little bit further there. So you just got to play around with it and see what's optimal for you, because your strength and dexterity you're going to have to play with. It's going to be more based on your combat deck than the actual points themselves, but you are going to want to spend a couple of extra points, just a couple of extra points in your stat of choice. Okay, so we have our 18 and 18. We're going to hit our cap for our health here. Endurance, we're going to go to 1250, I believe. We're gonna go 1250 or 250. I'm sorry, 252, and then we're just gonna dump, our remaining 4 points into will, because that's going to be the least important for us. So this is going to be my build probably going forward. And just for you guys, just to remember that strength and dexterity is going to be based more on your combat deck. You can totally reach the caps for health and stamina depending on your base class. So if you're cult, for example, you're going to have an easier time getting to your vitality cap than your endurance cap, I believe. It's going to be the opposite for Windfall. And you can look at Tempest Moon's guide for how it would work for stagger style. Also, if you know that you're going to want to go stagger style is a base higher dexterity rating. So you're probably going to want to spend a couple of extra points in dexterity. And I have all of this information down in the description. So if you guys want to look at, the stat values for each point, or take a look at Tempest Moon's information, you guys are more than welcome to do that. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to message me, leave a comment down in the comment section as we do. And I hope this helped you guys to optimize your builds, understand how the stats work. And if you like this video, please like the video and go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. I really appreciate you guys. Happy fisticuffs.